This is the Investor Connect podcast program. I'm Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of this show in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, family offices, private equity, and many other investors for early stage and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Need help in finding investors for your startup, fund, or angel group? 10 Capital provides funding as a service helping you find accredited investors. Contact 10 Capital to gain access to investors for angel and venture capital funds, family office rounds, and syndication raises. To learn more, go to 10capital.group. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Ryon Anderson, CEO and founder of Ryon Esquire. Ryon Esquire strives to help organizations, teams, and individuals achieve operational excellence through focusing on mindset, systems, discipline, culture, and creative solutions. Ryon, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Well, tell us more about your background. What were you doing before founding Ryon Esquire?
Yeah, so my immediate background right before doing Ryon Esquire was actually fix and flip properties, and then right before that was in-house counsel for an engineering firm down there in Round Rock. But it's kind of one of those unique stories as far as how I got there. I really didn't ever want to be a lawyer at one point in time, but I randomly lost my vision at 11 years old. I just happened to get sick, and I was supposed to be dead or severely brain damaged. And up until then, my goal in life was to be an NFL quarterback. So it was a huge change because I went from the active, very physically, moving all the time type kid, couldn't sit still, to all of a sudden I'm stuck, inside my mind, inside my head, all that kind of stuff. And it was a big change. And I went through a lot of your typical relearning who I was through college and grad school. I have a master's in accounting, went to law school. And then once I got into the legal field, realized how much I hated it. And that kind of started, it's a horrible job. Research writing, it was not a good personality fit, right? And so it started my process of really kind of rediscovering who I was, what I wanted to be, which led me down the coaching journey, because like anybody's unhappy, you look for a solution. And my solution was, fix and flip properties, which my competitiveness kicked in. So I started doing coaching to learn about it, which started the whole self-exploration and positivity and, changing mindset, which once I started doing that for a while, I was like, I've done this so much and spent so much money on it. Why don't I do this for a profession? So that's kind of a short roundabout way about how I got here.
And so what do you tell investors about investing in that space that you're in? What's your coaching to them on that?
Really, as I'm sure investing in many ways is a mindset, right? As far as not allowing yourself to fall into those roller coaster ups and downs, as far as emotions and swings. It's in many ways, investing is kind of like success in life. It's about discipline from the standpoint of, you have your process, you vetted your process, you trust in your process. That's the easy part. It's having the discipline to believe in your process when the shit hits the fan, right? And really, that's a lot of what, that's all investors, whether they're professional or amateur, that's a lot of what investing comes down to is trusting in your process and having the discipline to stick with it. When things do get chaotic, when your emotions are going crazy, when your family and friends are yelling and screaming, oh my God, the sky is falling, right? It's having that discipline to stick through it.
Great. Well, how do you see your industry evolving post-COVID? What changes do you see coming up?
In my industry?
Yeah.
I actually see it being much more beneficial, not only from the standpoint of learning to deal with the stresses that have come from COVID, but really learning how to adapt to a new environment. I think you're going to have a lot more hybrid work environments than you have, before COVID. And it's learning, how to be able to work from home, be disciplined working from home. And then when you go into the office, how to get the most out of your team, how to get the most out of your team meetings, how to get the most out of the group cooperation. And then not only that, but then teamwork from the standpoint of how to keep show your vision, keep team unity, keep a lot of that's going to be a big, huge part of, I think, making a successful company. because so much of a successful company is culture, right? So how do you build a culture when you're not physically together 5 days a week? I think that's going to be a huge part of kind of what's coming down the pipeline as far as company.
And how do you see your coaching sector growing in this market? Is it going up, and by how much?
It is going up. I'm not really sure by how much, but it is going up because I think people are isolated and they're alone with their thoughts, and we've had so much time that we didn't have before that I think people are really starting to look and reevaluate their jobs, their relationships, where they are in life and where they want to go in life. And so they need guidance. They need someone to bounce those ideas off of. They need someone to challenge them when they're having negative thoughts or when they're not living up to the standard that they set for themselves. So I see the industry growing a lot because of that, right? And plus, there's a lot more acceptance of the mental realm. For years, we've always understood, having trainers for your body, right? Well, coaching in many ways is the same thing for your mind, right? It's having that person to help you train your mind to be agile, to be strong when it needs to be, to adapt to new upcoming changing situations, and really to learn how to be happy and healthy throughout those changes. So yeah, I see it growing a lot.
Great. And so, what are the challenges in this space that you're in? What do you see as the biggest issue?
Trust, getting clients to trust you, because like I've got 2 degrees or 2 professions, law and coaching, and both of them are known for having charlatans in the industry in many ways. So a lot of it is establishing trust, authority, credibility, as a person, as a brand, because really, if you want to work with the biggest companies out there, you need to have people trust, respect your thoughts, your ideas, your values, your personality. And it's really just establishing that on an individual level. It's establishing, and then on a industry level, it is establishing really respect and credibility within the industry, like getting people to realize the importance of coaching, how it's different than counseling, how a good coach can take you from average to extraordinary, and why everybody should do it if they really are on that path of growth, development, upward social movement, right?
Great. So, tell us more. How does Ryon Esquire fit into this coaching landscape? What's unique about it?
Yeah. So when I started this, I really wanted to work with high achievers. So I work with like CEOs, founders, startups, professional athletes. I like working with people who are dynamic, who by working on one person, I can affect change through everybody that they are leading, right? So I do a lot of one-on-one with them, so that way we can really get down to what they need to work with, right? Their mindsets, what creative problems we need to solve with them. And so I really like to focus on the individual versus, like a cookie cutter course. That's great to get you from, 0 to average. But if you want to go from average to extraordinary, you need specific information to you and what pertains to you, not something that you can Google for yourself. So that's really what I try to focus on to distinguish me from a lot of other coaches out there is really tailoring my coaching to my clients.
Great. And I see you're associated with the Professional Athletes Organization. How does that
Yeah.
impact your work?
A lot of it is authority and credibility. Like, the fact that I'm good enough to work with the NFL Alumni Association, which is what you're referring to. That helps a lot with just, getting your foot in the door to have a conversation to prove yourself. And then really, I learn a lot through my clients. So just learning what high performers have done throughout their career to, overcome, to persevere. Yeah, I learned, so that helps with my clients. But and like I said, it's a lot of it's credibility and authority, and a lot of it is just, learning from your clients to really provide value to all your other clients. I mean, that's kind of what it's about.
And who is this industry for, and who is it not for?
The industry actually is for everybody because there's so many different types of coaches out there. So from relationship to high performance to weight loss to health to sleep to all kinds of stuff. So the industry itself is for everybody. Me myself, I like I said, focus on high achievers and businesses. It tends to be my two kind of, I guess, probably where I excel the most is in business, and then mindset as far as high achiever. So, if you're somebody who has a company but wants to take it to the next level, like that's what I'm good for. If you're somebody who is already achieving highly, but you want to take your mental game to the next level because that that's what will lead to financial success, relationship success, yada yada yada. That's also what I work with.
Great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Really, I think we've done a good job kind of doing a blanket survey of what I do, what the industry is, and where it's going. So I'm happy with everything.
Well, great. Well, so how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website's Ryon, Ryon, Esquire.com. And then I'm found everywhere at Ryon Esquire. So those are the two best places to find me.
Great. We'll include those in the show notes. I want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.